Hello and welcome to this Matchday 4 edition of the FPL Scope podcast. I am your Norwegian host, Mathias, with the Italian kit today. Finally, Italy are not in the World Cup, sadly, but I'm still repping them because they are my favorite national team apart from when Norway are in the World Cup, which is never. So that's enough of the teams that are not in the World Cup. We're going to talk more about the teams that are in the World Cup still. But first, I'm going to introduce my co-host, who is Kevin. He's Swedish. Sweden are not in the World Cup either, but I'm sure Kevin has some moments from the World Cup that he has enjoyed so far. So, Kevin, what has been the most enjoyable thing about the World Cup so far for you?
I mean, obviously, getting to see what a fraud Cristiano Ronaldo has been quite a sensational. Wow, Portuguese people hate me. Yeah, I think seeing Ronaldo for being the fraud that he is has been a highlight. Obviously, Japan and this whole situation was just absolutely crazy, and it's really fun that something like this happened. I mean, you privately wrote to me that you felt this World Cup has lacked the sort of memorable moments, memorable goals, and then quite literally this game week and since that comment, we've had Richarlison's goal, we've had the Mexico free kick, we've had basically just moment after moment happening. Obviously the 3 minutes that was the craziest 3 minutes of my life, which was Costa Rica and Japan going through and all this type of stuff. There's just been a lot of fun moments, and for a World Cup that's desperately needed it. And I think it's crazy to see that both Kazri scored in the final match day, and I had him from game week 1, and GDA or the Arisqueta scored a brace and was very unluckily knocked out.
Yeah.
Whether you're on the Uruguay side of the camp, it's very unlucky. But if you're in the Ghana side of the camp, you're very, 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 skadeglad, as we say in Swedish, which is basically
Schadenfreude or whatever the German word is.
Yeah, exactly. You're very happy that they got knocked out. But yeah, it's been a wonderful World Cup so far.
Yeah, I also think so. After that comment, I made that before. I think it was before. Well, Richarlison's goal was the first Brazilian game, so it was about I don't know, maybe 12 games in or something. And then since then, it's been really good, especially with Japan. I'm a huge fan of Japan. Apart from Italy, that's the team that I usually support, and obviously also, like Kevin sort of alluded to, we're a Messi-friendly podcast as well, so we were both hoping Argentina go far. As far as the rest of the World Cup goes, in terms of predictions, we're going to make another video just right after this one, where we do the predictions for the rest of the knockout stages. We did the prediction for the group stage before the World Cup, and we're going to go run through all the groups as well and see how we did as well. One of us did slightly better than the other, but we'll get to see that pretty soon, or, well, not in this video, but this video will be posted on Friday, basically after the Brazilian, or the games between Brazil and Cameroon and Switzerland and Serbia. They're actually singing the national anthems right now. I can see Neymar singing. So we're recording this right before the Brazilian game is about to start. And I have one of my captain is playing for Brazil. It's Gabriel Jesus. We'll get to that pretty soon. Just one final point on the World Cup. I saw something on Twitter earlier today, and it was that for the first time ever in the World Cup, we have nations from 6 different continents in the knockout stages, which is pretty fun. So it's basically all the continents, because it's only Antarctica left, and I don't even know if they have 11 people born there to have a team. But anyways, so you should probably get on that Antarctica if you're from there, if you're listening from there. You should probably try to get a team along and try to make it 7 for 7 next time, if you can. But yeah, I've heard that at Antarctica they are pretty anti tiki-taka though, so that's dad joke for Kevin, because I love making dad jokes that make Kevin cringe. Anyways, enough of that. Let's move on to our teams for Matchday 3. We'll take a look at how we've done so far. This is my team. I still have 2 players in play because I used my wildcard, so I saved a lot of the players for last, because I could take advantage of the lineups and stuff. That's what I've done with Brazil. So I've gone with Jesus as captain. He's a major differential captain because no one else really took a chance on him, because you couldn't really know if he was starting or not. It could have been a different striker. It could have been Martinelli a striker. It could have been Richarlison a striker again. Don't really know. So I don't think that many people have Jesus. Obviously, the first captain I had was Messi, who had a fantastic game, but he just ended up with 3 points, kind of like Musiala, who I also had, who had a brilliant game, but just no fantasy points from them. But at the current moment, I'm on 48 points before my two Brazilian players play, and that's Antony and Jesus. But yeah, I've used my wildcard, so I had a couple. I tried to take the advantage of the wildcard with Darwin Nunez and Cancelo in the games earlier today, but that didn't work out as planned. 0 points for both of them, so I've had them subbed off rather than subbing off. I was going to sub off Disasi as well, who was another wildcard punt that failed because France really didn't really do much against Tunisia. But anyways, I got points from my Dutch defenders. Noppert in goal, who's been a mainstay for me. It's going to be a mainstay still in goal for me. 4.5 goalkeeper for one of the best nations. Easy money. He got 7 points. Also had Dumfries with 6 points. I also took a punt on Foden because I saw the lineups with England and I could switch over to Foden, who not that many people had. He got 12 points, goal and assist. He looked really good and showed why he should probably have a shout to be in the England starting 11. But offensively, England are really good at the moment. They have Saka, they have Foden, they have Rashford. It's been really good. Kane obviously has to play, so it's really tough for Southgate to choose out of the front line for them. I also have Ziyech, who's been amazing for Morocco, who went through as the group winners, deservedly so. In the group where Belgium just really struggled and went out. Morocco have been the best team there, and Ziyech has been basically their main point of attack, or pretty much the only consistent offensive player for them as well. They've been really good defensively, but offensively is where Ziyech has been good. I also had Nayef Aguerd, the West Ham defender. He got an own goal, so -1, so that didn't work out as planned, but he was only 4 million anyway. Didn't really matter. Like I mentioned with Musiala, he was amazing for Germany, who won 4-2 over Costa Rica, but he still didn't get any goals. Actually, I just thought of that just now, that 4-2 is the same that they beat Costa Rica with in 2006 in the opening match, which is kind of interesting. But still, they were knocked out, so Germany out, Japan are through. I'm happy with that, but German fans are probably really sad because they had the most expected goals in the group stage with 10. So yeah, another player who's going to be sad to be out is Mohamed Kudus, who we both have praised for a long time. We made an article on, well, my website, or our website, thevideoscope.com. We made an article, I think it was about 2 years ago, with like 13 players to watch, and Kudus was one of them. And he's shown that he's a definite talent that you should take into consideration. He's probably going to move to a bigger team pretty soon. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have any players left. Since I had the clean sheet from Noppert, I was able to just switch out the goalkeeper for the, like, make my backup goalkeeper the cheapest possible. So I picked the Cameroonian third choice at goalkeeper, I think. Brady, I can't even, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. I think his first name is actually Simon, but on the World Cup website it's Brady, and then his last name that I can't even start to remember. But anyways, he's a young goalkeeper from Marseille, so maybe he'll be an amazing goalkeeper in the future, who knows. But he's just there as a bench option really for 3.5. But anyways, that was my team. I don't know, Kevin, if you were on a wild card, is there something you would have done differently? It's obviously easy to say that now after all the matches have been played, what you would have done, but there's one player that you have that I really wanted to have as well, that I probably should have swapped in, but it was more just that I didn't want to back Germany. But yeah, anyways, anything else that you want to comment about my team?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think you did a pretty decent job. I did warn you about France simply because we knew that they were going to be heavily rotating, which is why I felt so stupid. Oh my God. Sorry. Sorry. The Serbia game is just going wild. They're just trying to score straight away, and they should have probably scored. And I think Briel and Bolo almost scored for Switzerland, like, very quickly. Anyways, what I was saying was I didn't back France. Also, in terms of forwards, I was very hot on Serge Gnabry and Fulkrug, but I went for Gnabry simply because in these, like you said, with the whole XG and stuff like that, Gnabry's always been such a focal point of their attack and has played well. And it's very unlucky that he got activated basically when it didn't really matter. Same goes for Fulkrug, who looked good against Spain and got a goal and assist just as good as Nabry did. So I did. You told me to get a German defender, and I told you, yeah, I agree with that. Maybe I should get Nabry, and I think that's maybe the only difference I would have done because I think with Darwin Nunez, I mean, he was literally a goal line clearance away from getting a goal.
Yeah.
Um, it's a shame you didn't hate draft and pick Suarez because then you would have gotten 2 assists.
Yeah.
But in terms of the team, I mean, I can't fault you for what you picked. I mean, you went with the standard double up of Netherlands. Foden was a really good shout, especially because everyone got rotated as they did. And I'm a bit annoyed because that would have meant that I would have just gone soccer points. But other than that, you did really well. Musiala, everyone sort of like tip for the youngest player, the top player of the tournament, young top player of the tournament, and everything like that, or young player of the tournament. And he just got very unlucky. I think it's a combination of bad play from him with certain decisions that he made, but he also came like dribble past 5 players and then would screw up the shot and stuff like that. So he got very unlucky, and I think you got very unlucky not to get more points from him. Same with Messi. I mean, Messi,
Yeah.
we all had and everything like that, so it doesn't really matter. But Messi could have had the penalty goal. He did like a bunch of key passes that could have led to like 2, 3, even 4 assists if Julian Alvarez, put away the shot, and this player did that, and etc. So I think generally speaking, you did everything correct. I think you might have messed up with Aguerd, but obviously you were always going to sub him off, and you had to save money elsewhere. But I
Yep.
think Jesus and Anthony could be a really good differential. But if it had 0-0, then I
Yeah.
I guess.
We'll get to see. I'm watching the game right now. Brazil are, well, they're attacking from the get-go, so they're not going to take it easy on
No.
Cameroon. But
No, of course.
we'll see what happens with Brazil. Just another mistake that I always make is getting Cancelo. He just never performs for me. Like the curse still lives even in World Cup fantasy. He's not going to perform for me. Of course, Dalot got the assists rather than him, and Portugal conceded twice against South Korea. So, but yeah, basically Cancelo and Nunez. It's sort of like World Cup fantasy. We're not taking it as seriously as FPL, so we kind of want more entertainment rather than picking the best players. That's kind of what my thought process was, because I could have saved the transfers. I could have waited with Cancelo and just picked like Telles or Alexandro, saved it for a Brazilian player. But I figured like I have the money for Cancelo, no one else has him. He can score, he can get clean sheets and stuff. So that's why I went for him, even though he's cursed. So I obviously shouldn't have gone with him. Same with Nunez. Originally, I was going to have Rafael Leao if he was starting for Portugal. I figured he'd get starting time now because he's been amazing for them, even though he's been coming off the bench. So I figured he should get some minutes. But I don't know. Maybe they're saving him for the knockout stages. Maybe he's going to be starting now in the knockout stages, and they didn't want to risk it. But I don't know. I thought he was going to start, so that's why I didn't do. That's also part of the reason why I didn't do Gnabry or any other striker really. Because I knew I wanted to have like a Brazilian striker, and I wanted to have Leao, but Leao didn't start, so I didn't go with Cristiano Ronaldo either, who blanked. So Nunez didn't really make a difference. It's kind of annoying with Nunez. Nunez, it looks like he's going to score 2 or 3 goals every match, but he doesn't do it that much. It's just he's been a bit unlucky and a bit, I don't know. Sometimes it's a bit a lack of skill, but. I don't know what it is about Nunez, but he's out, so there's no reason to talk about him anymore. Let's just go over to your team. Just quickly before you go through the team yourself, Kevin. Like we said, the World Cup game has been a bit of a mess, so both of us sort of misunderstood the wildcard rules. So obviously, Kevin wildcarded in Matchday 2. And we figured we can do, like we already knew that you could change your whole team after the Matchday 2 was finished, and you could switch over to like a Matchday 3 squad. But we both thought that that window was until Matchday 3 started, not right after Matchday 2 had ended. So we figured that out too late. So for Kevin, who already used his wildcard, he couldn't really swap out most of his team. You'd already done some transfers during the game week, but you couldn't do like all the transfers you wanted to. So that's why you see players like Kamada and stuff and Sabali, like players that you wouldn't normally have. But yeah, just take us through your team, Kevin. That's just the explanation for why you didn't have like a proper wildcard team, really.
Yeah, I mean, despite all that, and despite also going -6 for because basically due to all the wild card kerfuffle and everything like that, I just had to basically just go like, you know what, this is not FPL. Like, I don't really care, so let's just go gun blazing. And my gun blazing two transfers that were for -6 was actually Hakimi and Ziyech, which ended up working out pretty well because Ziyech scored that very decent goal and Hakimi got the assist for the Yusuf Naseri goal. So yeah, generally speaking, pretty happy with the team. Annoyed that I think I missed the deadline or something like that. So I would have probably had Sabali's 1 point over Fernandes blank because I could have obviously seen because Portugal played at 3 and all this type of stuff. So a bit annoying that I couldn't get to the 60 mark, but generally speaking, pretty happy. I had Noppert who got 7 points, who kept a clean sheet. Dumfries also kept a clean sheet for 6. Hakimi got an assist, which got him 4 points. Sosa got a clean sheet. Very luckily, got a like my best friend Lukaku decided to basically just have a terrible day in front of goal. So Sosa got 6 points and has looked genuinely for me has looked like one of the best players of the tournament because he's just constantly bombing down the wing, does really good crosses, and has been unlucky not to get more assists. Perisic ghosted a little bit in that game, but generally speaking, yeah, got decent returns. I guess he got 2 points, which means that he didn't just get the point for appearance. He got
the clean sheet point
as well.
Yeah.
Ziyech, very happy with his returns. I was hoping he'd get an assist or something, and he ended up scoring and a really cool goal. And just to be able to say that you had Ziyech for that goal is just like a fun thing. Kamada, I don't know what to say. I didn't really catch most of Japan, Spain, but I've been watching Kamada obviously throughout the tournament and stuff like that. And he's just been really unlucky not to get more points because we both know what a absolute beast he is in club level, and he's been good for Japan as well. It's just goal line clearances and all this type of stuff that just removed points from him. But he got 1 point. Fernandes obviously blanked. Messi again 3 points. Could have easily been 10 or 12 if things had just gone his way that day. Depay got 4 points. Could have easily been 6 because he almost scored. He almost got a bunch of assists and all this type of stuff. So very happy that he at least got the assist for the Hakpo goal, who just keeps scoring and keeps being a decent 6 point return. And then obviously I had the legend that is Serge Gnabry, who a little bit too late, Germany, but got me 18 points because I used the power captain chip because due to all the minuses that I took and everything like that, I reckoned I'd have some clean sheets here and there. I was hoping that someone like Gnabry would get like 9 points or someone got like a double digits return because either way I'd be fine. I wouldn't have to stress out because I knew that I was always going to captain Messi. But a part of me was just like, maybe I'd captain Gnabry. Maybe I'd captain this guy or that guy. So it was a bit of a tougher decision because you're so limited. Basically, if Mbappe is not playing and all this type of stuff, it just sort of becomes sort of a if you don't pick a favorite, who do you actually end up picking? And I was lucky that I had Gnabry in the team, and 59 points. It's not the worst considering I think last week I only got like 30 something. So pretty happy with everything so far. And in terms of the bench, again, I didn't have the right wild card. So I had people like Trippier, who I probably would have subbed off for. Uh, I'll be honest, probably like Cancelo. So I'm sort of glad that didn't work out. And Saka would have definitely have been someone else. Might have even been Christian Pulisic, who ended up scoring and
Yep.
was like sort of a favorite pick of a lot of
Mm.
content creators. And then hilariously, I have Dahlman, who kept the clean sheet and got 7 points, but obviously they don't allow you to play two captains, so or two captains,
Goalkeepers.
two goalkeepers.
Yeah.
But I might have like kept him a captain or something like that if everyone else had failed. But yeah, generally speaking, very happy with the team and looking forward to having a limited transfer so I can sub a lot of these. I was about to say bastards, but yeah, bastards out.
Yeah. Yeah, considering how unlucky you were with the whole wildcard confusion and all that stuff, and even to that point, like on the website, like on the actual rule page of the game, they said that it would be midnight Asian time, so that would be like 4 a.m. our time. That's when they would change from Matchday 2 to Matchday 3, so that would be the deadline for when you could use your wildcard. So
Absolutely.
if they were true to their rules, you would have been able to switch out your whole team as well. So, but who knows? Maybe you would have gotten a worse team if maybe you wouldn't have picked CH. Maybe you would, well, you picked CH as a transfer, so you probably yeah. Anyways, the players that you have that got you the most points were the ones you transferred in. So well done on doing that. I also think Power Captain was a good move in such a really confusing game week or match day where you didn't really know who was going to play, who's going to get points and all that stuff. Nabri, definitely a good captain. There, almost Brazil scored. Martinelli, really close, but. Anyways, with Messi not getting that many points and Mbappe not playing, this was one of the match days where captaincy wasn't that obvious, like it has been for the first two match days, and it's gonna be like we were gonna see in around the 16 teams that we have. It's gonna be pretty obvious as well who you're gonna captain. But anyways, decent match day for you. I'm still a bit ahead of you in our league, but still not. There's still plenty of the World Cup left, and especially now with the knockout stages and teams all of a sudden getting knocked out that they didn't expect. A lot can happen still, so who knows what's going to happen in our leagues. I'm currently top still in our personal mini league, the FPL Scope mini league, and the league code is RB73AUTS, as you can see on the screen if you're watching YouTube. Feel free to join still. We don't really care if you're number one in the world and you happen to watch this. Please join. You can take over number one spot from me if you want to. You can still join the league. But yeah, anyone who are able to challenge me for the number one spot can do so. But we'll see what happens there. But we're going to look ahead to the knockout stages and the fixtures. Yeah, I think, I still have Uruguay in this. I forgot to fix that, but that should be Brazil, South Korea. And South Korea, I would list as one of the easier matches, either dark blue, which is the easiest, or light blue, which is like sort of easy, but not that easy. So I think that's a really good fixture to target now, actually, with Brazil. Also, you can see Portugal. It says Serbia because it's either Switzerland or Serbia. We'll know once the match is finished. It could even be Cameroon if Cameroon beat Brazil. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. That's what happened to South Korea. No one expected them to go through. It was all about Ghana against Uruguay, and then all of a sudden South Korea are through. So anyways, just for anyone watching on YouTube, just consider Uruguay to be South Korea, and that's light blue or dark blue, and then Switzerland or Serbia. I think Serbia are like the neutral color, like the level 3 out of 5 difficulty. I think Switzerland is a bit easier, especially if you have a defender. It should be easier to defend against Switzerland. But who knows? If Switzerland beats Serbia, then maybe they should have more of a difficulty level compared to Serbia. But anyways, that's just the clarifications. Just going through all the matches. As you can see, at the top, you have the earliest matches, and at the bottom, you have the latest matches because they are played over 4 days. On Saturday, you have the early match between the Netherlands and the USA. Obviously, the Netherlands will be heavy favorites, but the USA have been like one of the main underdogs of this World Cup. They've shown that they can hang with anyone. They got a draw against England. They beat Iran. And they look like a really cohesive team all of a sudden. And they have some really good players. Tyler Adams, who's impressed both on and off the pitch lately. Pulisic, like you said, he has shown, like Ziyech, he has shown that probably shouldn't go to Chelsea. So if you're listening, Nkunku, don't go to Chelsea, please. Your career will be ruined, probably. But anyways, that's a decent match. Argentina, Australia. I think that's one of the fixtures you're targeting. Is that correct, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so you can see Argentina, Australia. That makes a lot of sense to load up on Argentinian players. Australia,
100%.
they have scored in every match so far. Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Argentina should beat them any day of the week, and I think, well, Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, but that was a one-off. I think Argentina have been fired up now. They've settled on a better team. They have like the proper players that they need. Their midfield trio finally is set in place with Enzo Fernandez, as well as Rodrigo de Paul and who am I missing in centre mid?
But anyways, Enzo Fernandez and Rodrigo de Paul and who's their other CDM? They've had Paradis. Scaloni keeps changing it, so
yeah,
it's pretty much a rotation of those three.
But also Messi and Di Maria, they have so many good players. So
yeah, I mean, Papa Gomez played one game, and then they played another sort of attacking mid, and they played McAllister at
McAllister. Obviously, he was really good last game. Like Messi gave him the man of the match award and stuff. He scored all that stuff. Yeah. He looked really good for them as well. So that midfield trio, that's the one I was talking about, is looking really good. Obviously, Messi makes a lot of sense. Otamendi is a surefire guy in defense there. Acuna as well. Seems like left back spot is his, but he keeps getting subbed off for Tagliafico. So who knows really with the left back spot, but Argentina have some really good players to target, of course. And then you have France against Poland. That's another heavy favorite against like a major underdog. Poland, they've been pretty good defensively, but offensively not so much. Obviously their goalkeeper Szczęsny has been amazing. Saved 2 penalties. They almost get the clean sheet throughout the whole group stage. So. But still, France, you imagine Mbappe against Poland, it's going to be no contest, really. So France are looking really good. And then you have England against Senegal. England will be heavy favorites. In England, it seems like everyone has just a foregone conclusion. England will beat Senegal, but you got to give props to Senegal. They're the African Cup of Nations champions, and you need to respect them. So England, you shouldn't take that game lightly. Obviously, offensively, England have a lot of good players, but defensively, they haven't really been tested that much so far with the group, USA, Iran, and Wales. You saw Iran even scored twice against them, so you can easily score against England as well. So I think that's a tougher game that most people think it is. But yeah, I've been talking a lot now, so Kevin, you can take us through the final 4 matches and what you think of them. So Croatia, Japan, first one. Which is probably the most tightly contested match out of all these. On paper.
On paper, all of these seem like pretty straightforward, except Croatia, Japan, because Croatia, despite them being very stable, I think that's the best way to say it. They're a stable team, so I think Japan will finally, meet their undoing. Because, oh my Shaqiri. Anyways, but Japan has been the counter-attacking team of dreams, so maybe Croatia could finally be undone. But I think Croatia still have to be the favorites, even though you put both on gray, and I completely understand why. I still think you have to put Croatia in there, because I think in the case of Japan beating Spain did rotate. Like, you have to say that Spain did rotate a bunch of players and etc. Went into the game going sort of like, we don't really care about the result, until Costa Rica scored and they freaked out. And apparently Luis Enrique had no idea that was even a thing. Like he wasn't even that, like he was just like, oh, okay, I wasn't even aware that was a thing. So but that being said, I think Croatia just is that. Japan have done fantastically, don't get me wrong. I mean, beating both Spain and Germany, but I think Croatia is the sort of team that are very rigid, very precise. I think it shouldn't be a Japan win, but I've seen crazier things.
Yeah, Croatia will be hard to break down, obviously. But yeah, we're also, speaking of breaking down, we'll be breaking down these matchups more in the predictions part as well. But
Yeah.
just any players from Croatia or Japan that stick out to you that you might get in round of 16?
Yeah, I mean, Luka Modric hasn't really performed in the way that people were expecting, but that's also because he's a bit of a pen merchant in the World Cup related points. Like even when I had him in 2018, he scored a bunch of penalties and got a lot of assists. And obviously he's a bit older now, but I think he's someone to keep a lookout for because he's one of those players that likes to show up in the big occasions. So I think he's obviously a big shout. I think 100% Kramaric is someone he's looked good ever since he finally got the goals coming and everything like that. Was very unlucky not to score against Belgium too. I think Kramaric is a good shout. I think with Japan, I still like Daichi Kamada despite everything. I mean, he's so low priced and it's a good cutthroat differential. But other than that, it's hard because a lot of Japanese players are amazing, but they're all forwards, and
Yeah,
forwards is the most limited spot we
yeah,
have. So
exactly.
yeah, and you have too many obvious like Mbappe, Richarlison, Neymar, Giroud, Julian Alvarez, Messi, all these players who all play for the same teams as well in many cases, but they all perform. So I think, unfortunately, with Japan, I think it's like a Daichi Kamada, maybe potentially a defender of theirs if you hope that like a Sakai might get an assist or something like that. But other than that, yeah. There's not much more that can be said there in terms of Brazil and
South
I
Korea.
believe now, yeah, South Korea. Brazil should win that comfortably, like a 3-0, 2-0 sort of
Yeah,
sitch. So if I were you, I'd load up on as many of their potentially Neymar if he's back, because I
yeah,
still think we haven't gotten the Neymar moment of the World Cup, and he's just a penalty away from getting into the history books and all this type of stuff. So for me, I think you got to look at Neymar. I think Casemiro sort of interestingly looking
yeah.
like a decent shout because
It's been scoring.
he goes very forward when he plays for them. I think obviously the Marquinhos defenders looks good because yeah, South Korea have scored a bunch of goals, but I think Brazil are compact enough to try and keep them out. I think Heung-min Son is an avoid for
Yeah,
the World Cup. He's just looked sort of out of it, and I think there's just been too much expectation from him to perform. But if you're looking for a differential, maybe Huang might be a good shout. I mean, he scored today, and but again, forwards are
yeah,
such a rare commodity that it's just seems pointless trying to say go differential. Just don't. I tried going differential by not having a Mbappe game week 2, and he scored twice. So don't do that. In terms of Spain Morocco, I think could be an interesting game. Like on paper, you would say that Spain is the obvious favorite and stuff
yeah,
like that, but Morocco's shown that they can rock your world with anyone. So yeah, I think still, if you want someone who's going to do anything for Morocco, you either pick an Hakimi or Ziyech, but I wouldn't go Hakimi simply because I reckon Spain are going to score. And if you're going to
yeah,
go for Spain, Morata's looking good. Ferran Torres is looking good. I'd say Danny Olmo is looking really good because he just, I don't even understand what position he actually plays for
yeah,
Spain, but he just keeps going forward. I think Asensio is also like a long range screamer away from scoring like the best World Cup goal ever. So he's looked really good. I think a lot of these Spanish players have been looking good. The only one who hasn't sort of lived up to what I was hoping would be the case is Ansu Fati because he seemingly still doesn't get the right minutes.
yeah.
So I don't understand what's going on there. But yeah, I think Spain should be a decent shout. And now in terms of Portugal, Serbia, I mean, or
Or
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Switzerland are currently
Yeah,
leading.
yeah,
You
yeah,
missed the
yeah.
goal, I think.
No, no, no. Shakiri
This
scored.
one, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So in terms of because again, I'm not going to say anything until 90th minute, right? Because
Yeah.
this match could
Who
easily end
knows?
either way,
It could be
or like a
Cameroon,
crit.
so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So, depending on whoever Portugal meet, that should be a win. I
Yeah,
don't think either one of these three teams are good enough to beat them. In terms of Portugal, I'd say look out for Bruno Fernandes, Leao, Cristiano Ronaldo. I guess if they somehow get like 6 penalties, because that seems to be the only way he scores. I'd say avoid their defenders. Oh, what a goal! Mitrovic, yeah, Mitrovic, 1-1.
Yeah, that's why it says swerve, yeah, because you never know. It's gonna take a
Yeah.
turn. It's gonna swerve.
And didn't you have Mitrovic?
I thought about getting him in as a striker, yeah, but
Okay.
went for
Yeah.
Jesus instead.
Either way, yeah. I think regardless of who the opposition is, load up on Portugal. I think Portugal will have an easy time. It's obviously harder going forward because obviously depending on who scores what and etc., it's going to be a difficult way to see, because I wouldn't recommend people, even though you can have 4 players from each team, it's variety is the spice of life. Be
Yeah.
careful if you're going to load up on 4. If you're loading up on 4, you've basically picked players that you think will make the final essentially. But even if they do that, 4 players from one team who end up winning 1-1 but going on penalties is a terrible shout. So you need to be sort of careful with the allotted amount of players. But
Yeah.
I think in from the 4 teams and 4 matches that I spoke about, definitely load up on Brazil, definitely load up on Portugal. Be careful with how many people you pick from Spain. Be careful with how many people you pick from Croatia as well, because Japan have shown that they can score against anyone.
Yeah.
I still believe Morocco can do something against Spain. Spain haven't been that stable, but they got 7-0 against Costa Rica, which ended up saving their bacon. So yeah.
Definitely. That's it for the fixtures. There's obviously it's pretty easy. All the matches you have a heavy favorite against a major underdog. It's just a matter of which are the different enablers you can get for like the cheaper price. Is it Kamada? Is it someone like Shaqiri, for example, if he goes through? Is it someone from Croatia maybe? Borna Sosa is obviously 3.5. Yeah. Basically, the lesser teams you should just get some enablers from, and then you should just load up. You still have enough money to get like the main stars from all the teams. That's what we're gonna see from our own drafts. We have made a draft each for our Matchday 4 squads. This is not final. This is just what I have currently, but obviously I'm going to post on my personal Twitter account. I'm going to post my final team right before the deadline on Saturday, tomorrow. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. Kevin will do the same with his team, and we will retweet it on the FPL Scope Twitter account. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that in the outro. But yeah, as far as my team goes, I once again doubled up on Noppert and Dumfries. They played the US, then probably Argentina in the next match. But I think for the match against the US, it makes sense. Noppert is so cheap, 4.5. I feel like you have to have him. Dumfries as well. Still waiting on his goal. He hasn't been as attacking as he was during the Euros, where he scored 2 goals in the group stages, but he still has a goal in him, and he can still score, obviously. I have Otamendi from Argentina. I might switch that to Acuna because he's cheaper and more offensive as well. But the only worry with Acuna is what I mentioned earlier, that him and Tagliafico have been rotated a bit, and it's really hard to know if he's going to start or if he's going to play 60. But he's a really high risk, high reward type of player, because as you saw in the final game for Argentina, he was super high up in the pitch, and he could easily have goals and assists if he just played better offensively, really. But he is a really good player, so either him or Otamendi, it makes sense. Then I have Theo Hernandez. I feel like he's a no-brainer for France against Poland. He's going to start at left back, and he's just amazing. He's been so amazing in this World Cup as well. I feel like he's been one of the better players, both defensively and offensively. He's been really good. So he makes a lot of sense. Also going with Alexandro for Brazil. I feel like Brazil, it says Uruguay now, but it's obviously it should be South Korea. That should be a clean sheet for Brazil, and Alexandro can easily get points going forward as well. David Klaassen, cheap enabler for the Netherlands against the US. He's been getting assists and even scored a goal in the opening match for Netherlands, so he makes a lot of sense for me. Still going to back Japan and Kamada. I hope he has one of these breakout games where he has a goal and assists and that they can beat Croatia, but it's a long shot, but he's only 5.5, so I figured I could just take a punt on him and then just sell him if they don't go through, but I'm going to hope that they go through and face Brazil in the quarterfinals, most likely. Dani Olmo makes a lot of sense for me for Spain. Spain have been really good going forward. I feel like whenever they want to score a goal, they seem like they should be able to do it. They won 7-0, obviously, in the opening match. Olmo has just been, like you said, don't really know what position he plays, but he's really effective regardless. He's an amazing player. Should probably go to one of the bigger teams as well pretty soon. Messi, he's currently my first captain. Makes a lot of sense against Australia. It's his World Cup. It's his final World Cup, most likely. It might be the one where he finally wins it. And against Australia, I feel like he can easily get a lot of goals. If Messi doesn't score against Australia, I have the second option of Mbappe, like I had during Matchday 1 and Matchday 2. Messi as captain first, Mbappe as captain second, or the other way if Mbappe played before Messi. That has worked out really well for me. I think both those players have a really good chance to score a hat-trick or something like that, something crazy like that. So it just makes a lot of sense for those two to be my captain options. And Mbappe is just a no-brainer going forward in the World Cup as well. Richarlison, starting striker for Brazil against South Korea. Another really good match for him. If he starts, he's most likely going to start unless Jesus scores a hat-trick and gets me a lot of points now. Obviously, I can change that depending on what happens in the Brazil game. Dani Alves with a free kick over the goal. Brazil still haven't scored after 33 minutes, but we'll see what happens there. As a backup goalkeeper, I have Simon for Spain. I feel like Spain have a decent chance of going all the way to the final. I feel like they're the best team on their side of the bracket, so it just makes sense to have a goalkeeper, a safe option there. I feel like Nopper's going to go out in the quarterfinals against Argentina, so it just makes sense to have a decent backup option as a goalkeeper. Or if Noppert fails to keep a clean sheet against the US, I can swap in Simon. I've gone with the double up in the Spanish defense with Alba. He's been really good in the World Cup, so offensive and attacking minded for Spain. He's going to start for them. Morocco haven't really scored that many goals so far, so Alba can easily get a clean sheet or score goals going forward. I've gone for Bruno Fernandes, like you mentioned. He's been amazing this World Cup, reminded everyone that he's been overlooked and underrated really the last year and a half. He, like many other players in history, he has suffered because Cristiano Ronaldo has taken a lot of the same positions that he's been going into. But now he's just been thriving. Even playing alongside Ronaldo for Portugal, he's just been thriving, even though Ronaldo still keeps trying to steal his goals. But Fernandes has been really good. And then finally, I just have like a fodder pick, Sabiri. He's the cheapest player that potentially starts in this game week. He's only 4 million for Morocco. He came on and took a free kick where he got an assist in one of the matches for Morocco. So he can also get points if he happens to play, but he's most likely just going to be on the bench and just be a backup option if one of my starting players fail. So yeah, that's basically my team. I don't know if you have any comments, any picks that you like, any picks that you dislike.
Yeah, I think in terms of the way you've loaded up with the team and everything like that, I am perfectly like I don't really have that many criticisms or anything like that. I think it's a really good 15. Just a question of do you not believe in England at all? Because I just noticed you got 0, and now Vlahovic just scored after Shaqiri. So earlier, you guys might have seen my hand on my head earlier because Ricardo Rodriguez and Shaqiri should have combined for a goal, but Shaqiri just got it wide, and now Vlahovic scored such a classy striker sort of goal.
Yeah,
what a goal. Yeah, so I was just a bit surprised to not see a single Englishman in the team, especially maybe someone like Rashford, who's been sort of like a sneaky differential. But obviously, you have to go with the 3 that you've gone, or maybe you'll upgrade Richarlison to Neymar depending on what things are looking like. But generally speaking, I think all these picks are good. What position is Sabiri again? Midfield?
Midfielder,
yeah. I think it's all.
I just feel like there's not that many good midfielders, really.
Yeah,
As you said, I could go for England, but Rashford is a forward. I don't know if I'm going to use a forward spot on a player that might not even play.
yeah.
It's hard to know who's going to start for England with Rashford, Foden, and Saka all vying for a place at one of the wing positions. So it's
I
just
genuinely
hard
think all
to.
three should play.
Yeah, probably all three should play, but I don't think that's
They're not
how.
going to,
Yeah,
obviously.
Southgate is not going to do that.
It's too boring.
Anthony. But yeah, that's mainly why, and I feel like defensively, I don't really trust him that much. I could have Shaw for 5 million, but
Yeah,
I, I don't know. I'm just gonna hope that Senegal do something crazy and beat them. Really,
yeah, of
and
course.
just hope that I don't get punished for it. Other guys, Kane, but he's also super expensive, so it just feels like a waste. I'd rather have Messi and Mbappe are just clear locks in my team. And then, like you said,
Yeah,
with Richarlison, I might go for a sneaky Neymar or Vinicius Jr. even. I feel like those guys are overlooked. They might be huge differentials, but seeing as I have such great captain options in Messi and Mbappe already, I don't feel like I should spend that much money on a final player. Now I'll get
yeah.
to see the Vlahovic goal as well. Decent strike with his left. But yeah, so yeah, that's my thinking. I might downgrade Fernandes and then go Richarlison to Neymar if he plays as a differential, and they play South Korea as well, which is really good for them. So I might do that, but still, I feel like Bruno Fernandes, even if he plays Serbia, who looks like it's going to be Serbia at the moment, so you never know with the World Cup. I feel like he's just been really good for Portugal, and like I said, I don't really see that many good midfielders that I can have. Potentially Saka, who's the most likely to play out of all the England players, but yeah, that's just my reasoning so far for my team. Let's just move on to your team and see what you have. We have some similar players and some differentials. So yeah, just take me through the team. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I've loaded up on basically a bunch of players that I think will go far slash have a really nice opening match in terms of the knockout stages and everything like that. Noppert and Dumfries has been a dream duo for many of the fancy players and fancy owners because obviously Noppert is really cheap and Dumfries, despite not going absolutely crazy like we were expecting him to, he's still played so many minutes and kept clean sheets and etc. So very happy with them in terms of the picks of Otamendi. I think Otamendi is, it's like Matthias said, with Acuna, he's constantly going forward, bombing, is basically speedboat, no driver, just going, he's just going absolutely insane and comes so close to scoring and
Yeah.
etc. The only issue is, like you said, Tagliafico comes in. You need to have 60 minutes to keep a clean sheet, and he got like subbed off in the 58, and that's not the first time it's happened. So that's the only reason why I've gone with Otamendi. Otamendi has a mean streak, so I'm already ready and accepting a yellow card if I do pick him. But he's also that sort of player that I can see him also somehow getting like a headed goal and all this type of stuff. So, and he always plays every minute. So, yeah, that's the reason why I picked Otamendi. Teo Hernandez, I wanted him from game week 1, but obviously he got benched for his brother, who then got an ACL injury and's
Yeah.
out for several months, and came on, got an assist. I don't know if he actually got credited with the clean sheet or not in the end, but he's just fantastic. He's obviously a huge reason to why AC Milan are where they are and was so
Mm.
pivotal to them winning the league, and is just a wonderful left back. And again, I love Real Madrid simply over the fact that they don't seem to know what they're doing with their fullbacks, and going Marcelo and Carvajal over Hakimi and Teo
Hernandez, yeah, it's
Hernandez
crazy.
is just the craziest thing in the world. Like Barca would be so screwed if both of those players were still at Real Madrid. But yeah, so I think Teo Hernandez is great. Sosa is just there as a cheap enabler, and he's also been doing great. And also because Croatia could easily keep a clean sheet against Japan. It could be the
Mm.
where the luck finally runs out sort of thing. And that's sort of what we are expecting with a bunch of teams that, like, we don't think Brazil are going to lose to South Korea, for example. But we've seen crazier things happen. But
Yep.
I think Sosa's finally going to get his assist through like a Kramaric or something. So that's why I have Sosa in the team. Klaassen is one of those sort of guys who's just he's gone a goal and assist so far in the tournament. He's looked really good. He's constantly there for the pivotal moments. Even though Depay sort of pied him off a little bit with his criticism of having Klaassen at the 10 when he wants to play with uh, Steven Berghaus and all that type of stuff. But Klaassen's been quality. He's also former Everton, so yeah, I mean, I'll back him. Enzo Fernandez has been just a wonderful player. Got a goal in game week or match day 2.
Yeah.
Got an assist in match day 3. Looks like he's cementing his position. Is McAllister listed as a CM or like a midfielder, or is he listed as a what price?
I think he's the same price as Fernandez, 6.0.
Definitely looking at McAllister then. Okay, I'm tentatively picking Enzo Fernandez for now, but McAllister could take that spot because obviously I know him from his Brighton exploits and obviously just looked really good against Poland. I've gone with Saka against Senegal because I do still believe that.
Still believe.
In the sense of like you got to have an English player. Like Senegal are great and have wonderfully surprised everyone, especially with the lack of Sadio Mane. Like I wasn't expecting them to have this sort of response, but it's really cool to see because I was never expecting South Korea to do anything with Son, and even with Son, they went crazy and Son's done nothing. So yeah, it's kudos to Senegal, but I do think you gotta have an English player, especially. Yes,
Yeah.
I think they play pretty cowardly and they play kind of terrible football, but they scored 6 times past Iran. Went crazy against Wales. Senegal are much better, so I can see it being a bit of a tightly contested, like 2-3-1 sort of affair, 3-2 sort of affair. Because again, I don't have English defenders either. Because we know what a beast Trippier has been in FPL, but England's. I mean, when you have Harry Maguire at center back, what are you meant to do?
Yeah. Just a quick note: McAllister is actually 7 million, so it's a whole million more than Fernandez. So it makes sense to just stay with Fernandez.
Yeah, and obviously with my attack, I've gone with all the top scorers basically. Messi's just been going crazy, Mbappe's been going crazy, and Gakpo has been going crazy too. It's could Hakpo be someone else? Maybe. He's the one guy I'm still like, he's been super streaky. He scored and whatever, but a part of me is still like, Rielambolo, onside. What a game. 2-2 already. Anyways, it's just a question of whether Depay finally. I'm so scared of penalty takers. That's why I'm glad I have Messi. That's why I'm glad I have Mbappe and stuff like that. Hakpo isn't a penalty taker. It's Depay, and I'm just waiting for a Depay sort of breakout game because he's been good, even though he's come back from injury, hasn't played for a while, etc. He's looked good. A lot of Dutch fans have absolutely not been happy with his play and etc. But you got to remember, this is a Depay that hasn't been playing for a while, and I think he could potentially explode. So I'm just a bit wary of Hakpo, but we'll have to wait and see. On the bench at Perisic could change simply because I might want to change Hakpo to either like a Richarlison, Depay, or maybe there's some other striker that comes to mind that could be good. Jordi Alba, I like, super offensive, does the classic thing of not defending but getting fantasy points. So I think he could be a good shout. And Dani Olmo is a false 9, a left winger, cam, a center mid. So I reckon he's going to be very offensive and getting involved in the goals against Morocco as long as he starts. And I think generally, and I have Martinez in goal. I think Martinez the thing about him is I think Argentina are going to go long. That's why I do have four of their players. But if they get knocked out, that's going to kick my ass and won't look good. But the whole point is if Noppert doesn't keep a clean sheet, I can throw Martinez in or vice versa, and etc. So that's fine. Like as long as your goalkeeper keeps a clean sheet, you're not going to sub him out, going, "Oh, I think he can save a penalty too," because that's not how this works.
Yeah.
So in terms of the team, I'm pretty happy. The only thing that I might end up changing is downgrading Perisic and Alba to maybe another Spanish defender and Bruno Fernandes because I do like Portugal's chances of going far in the tournament. Not that I'd like that they do it, but I like their chances in terms of fantasy. And I think Bruno has been such a wonderful sort of player of the tournament. You know, obviously, for me, there's three candidates for MVP: Messi, Mbappe, and Bruno Fernandes so far. So it would hurt not to have him. So in some capacity, I'll try and figure out how to squeeze him in. Maybe changing Klassen, also Klassen to a cheapo player to then bring Fernandez to McAllister and all this type of stuff too. All depends. I think it's really funny that we have these set teams and stuff like that, but then like 2 minutes before deadline, because we see the starting 11, we're like, yep, let's change the entire team. But I like my team generally speaking. I feel like a bunch of these players will do well. I might have to see if I should load up on more France players. Maybe I was a bit too harsh on Rabiot because I liked what I saw of Rabiot in every game he's played so far. So might bring him back as well and bring him back into the fold. There might be an obvious glaring thing about my team is the fact that I have no Brazil players, which that will 100% change. I already know that it will change. It's just a question of to what capacity do I believe that I should do so. I think Hackpo to Richarlison is such an obvious move, and then potentially maybe making like Alba into Marquinhos or something like that, because Spain don't seem to keep clean sheets either. So except against Costa Rica, so wouldn't be the worst. I also think CH could do something, and Morocco could get like a headed goal against them. So yeah, I think those are sort of the recommended changes that I would do.
Yeah, that was I was going to comment about the Brazilian or the lack of Brazilian players as well. I think that's something, like you said, you're gonna fix. The other thing is that you've loaded up on. Well, you basically have 4 Netherlands players and 4 Argentina players. So in the quarterfinals, when those two teams play each other, you'll get a bit of a headache, especially with the goalkeepers. I feel like you should swap out, well, most likely Martinez, because in the quarterfinals you'll only have one goalkeeper, because you can't change Noppert to Martinez if all of a sudden Netherlands keep a clean sheet rather than the other guys. So I think that's just a general tip for any one of you. You should pick a goalkeeper from the left side of the bracket and a goalkeeper from the right side of the bracket, just to make sure that they don't play each other. Because obviously you want to have the option to change. That's one of the things that I did in the wildcard. I had Noppert as like the first goalkeeper because he played in the first match. And then as soon as he got a clean sheet, I knew like I could just downgrade my goalkeeper to someone who doesn't play, who's super cheap, because I already have the goalkeeping points locked in. So you just got to make sure with the goalkeepers to have 2 players that you can swap between each other, so you can get more points that way. So that's going to be an issue in the quarterfinals, especially considering both of them will likely go through, and then they'll face each other, and then you'd want to switch out most of your Netherlands players, I assume, anyway.
100%.
But yeah, like you said, you might switch that. You said basically all the Dutch players you've expressed some concern with, apart from maybe Noppert because he's so cheap. Yeah. So I'd say just switch Martinez to a different goalkeeper. There's a couple other 5.5 or 6.0 goalkeepers you can get.
Yeah.
Like I said, Perisic, I'm obviously hoping Japan beat Croatia, but Perisic could be really good, so I don't know. Yeah, other than that, your team is good. I just feel like you need to figure out what to do with the Netherlands, Argentina kind of mix up there, and the goalkeepers, and then the Brazilian players. Obviously, you also have, like I have Richarlison rather than Gakpo. I feel like Gakpo can be scoring again. He scored in every game so far, and Richarlison hasn't really done much since the opening match. So who knows? But I feel like that's the main issues for your team.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's both our teams. Like I said, we'll move on to the outro. You can follow us on our Twitter accounts or on the FPL Scope account, which is at the FPL Scope on Twitter, and we'll post our final teams there. Kevin with some more Brazilian players and his goalkeepers fixed. I'm probably going to do a lot of changes myself, especially considering the matches that are going on. If Switzerland go through, I might get more Brazilian defenders. I don't know. France, I might load up on more French players because I feel like they can go far, and they don't really clash with any of the other, because they'd face England, who I hope either get knocked out or I don't have any other players anyway. So I feel like I should load up on more France players, because I only have 2 at the moment with Hernandez and Mbappe. It's just a matter of who I'm going to pick from them. Maybe I even go Lloris as a backup goalkeeper, but we'll see. Anyways, we'll post those teams on our personal Twitter accounts and then retweet them on the FPL Scope account. So if you want to follow us on our personal accounts, my @ on Twitter is @maefteda, which is MAEFTEDA. Well, Kevin is @KevinNisanka, KEVNISSANKA.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also follow our third member, Kimo, who's in Egypt on a vacation. He's not doing World Cup Fantasy, but you can follow him anyway. He has some thoughts about the World Cup, as he's been tweeting about so far.
Yeah.
That's @13Kushi. That's @13KOOSHY. So that's Kimo. That's it for Twitter. As far as YouTube goes, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Comment down below. What is your team for the upcoming match day? Any players that we missed that you wish we would have talked about? All that stuff. Like I said at the start of the video, we'll right after these matches, which it's halftime now, and final matches in the group stages. After those matches finish, we'll record another podcast that will be posted Saturday morning with our predictions for the knockout stages. Or after we get the final bracket. So we'll post that tomorrow morning. This episode you're listening to right now, which is hopefully Friday night. So you get some time to figure out your wildcard, or not wildcard, but your free unlimited transfers squad, really. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, join us on World Cup Fantasy. League code is RB73AU2S, or you can as well join our Fantasy Premier League mini league, which is league code is 6IYV7U. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any parting thoughts from you, Kevin?
No, in terms of just social media stuff like that, I mean, obviously now where there's less matches and all this type of stuff, we're hoping to interact with more of you guys. We're going to try and put some more polls. Obviously, we want you guys to rate our teams. If you think that there's stuff that you disagree with, please comment and let us know. And yeah, I think in terms of everything so far, it's been a wonderful World Cup, but there's so much crazier things about to happen. There's been so much fun things, just generally speaking, memes and everything that's come out of this World Cup so far as well. So I'm just looking forward to just seeing where this all goes. I'm just praying that Portugal don't win.
Yeah, just a final point as well. The next episode will be on, I think we'll record on Wednesday, which is when we normally record our FPL podcasts, because between the round of 16 and the quarterfinals, we'll have a 2-day break. So it will be sad because we don't have football, but it will be good because we get more time to recuperate and basically make sure that our teams are in order and all that stuff. So we'll post on the Wednesday for the quarterfinals, so keep a lookout for that. Obviously, if you follow us on social media, as you can see on YouTube here, if you follow us on any of these accounts, you'll be first to know about when the next podcast is up. But anyway, that's about it for me. I hope Jesus will score in that second half. I've definitely backed the wrong match because Brazil against Cameroon is 0-0. Nothing has happened. Well, it's 2-2 between Switzerland and Serbia. Yeah. So yeah, looking back, I should have had a defender from Brazil and a striker. I probably should have Mitrovic, who I thought about having. But anyways, enough about the group stages. We're looking ahead to the knockout stages, and until then, see ya. Goodbye.